The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Time for Head to Headlines. We read you two headlines, and based on the headline alone, you choose which story you want to hear more about by texting headline number 1 or headline number 2 to 312-591-8300. So it's pretty easy. We'll never talk about the other story again. Promise. So, headline number 1. DC firefighter fired after stopping for Chick-Fil-A while on emergency call.
That's not good.
That's headline number 1. If you want to hear more of that story, text in headline number 1 to 312-591-8300. Headline number 2. It's true. People do poop a lot in ride lines at Disneyland and Disney World.
In line?
In line.
Because of kids? Because babies? Babies don't count.
I just want to see you figure it out.
Very tricky. Tricky.
So that's headline number 2.
I see what you did there.
So that's the headline. No, that's exactly what it says. If you want to hear more about that story, text in headline number 2. So 312-591-8300. Head to headlines, since we talked about the pumpkins at Wrigley Field with Green Day. How about some pumpkins right now? And afterward, we'll get your payoff on the story you want to hear more about with Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Head to headlines, the story you want to hear more about. We give you 2 headlines, and you vote. You decide the content, what you want to hear more about. Another story we'll never talk about again, the one that doesn't get chosen. Headline number 1 was, DC firefighter fired for stopping for Chick-Fil-A while on emergency call. Headline number 2. It's true. People do poop a lot in ride lines at Disneyland and Disney World.
I mean, yikes.
This was close, to be honest. A lot of text came in on this one. And headline number 1 about the DC firefighter won, just edged out, just by a bit, which is sad because both stories are very fascinating, but we'll never talk about Disneyland and pooping in that story again.
I thank God.
Yeah, well, here we go. Let's talk about the DC firefighter. That's the one more people wanted to hear about, in case the producer joins us for this one. Thanks for finding the stories, Case.
My pleasure.
DC firefighter fired after stopping for Chick-fil-A while on emergency call. He's, quote, no longer with the department. I just want to get that clear right now. That's in the sub-headline of the story. A DC firefighter with his partner stopped for fast food while on an emergency call in March has been terminated, a source close to the investigation told News 4. 2 firefighters and EMTs assigned to Ambulance 3 stopped at a Chick-fil-A in Northeast D.C. around 4 p.m. on March 24th, and instead of responding to a call for a woman suffering chest pain, just about a mile away, they were waiting for their food that they ordered instead of immediately going to help the lady with chest pains.
Can I stop you there?
Yes.
You said this incident occurred in March?
Yeah.
That means there was a 6-month investigation into the Chick-fil-A situation. This has been something that has infected this town. It's infected these people's lives. There's been debate and conjure over it for months and months and months now over whether or not this person can keep their job.
It's called due process.
And right now, with the information I have, so what, you got Chick-fil-A one time. 3 strikes and you're out, according to me.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
They should still be allowed to work.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Sometimes you get boxed in that line, though.
I know. What do you want to back up?
I don't even know if it was intentional, but if you're in the line, man, there's always someone behind you in the Chick-fil-A line. Let me tell you something. There is that you can't Uno reverse that in any scenario. I think they had every intention of getting their sandwich and going to help this lady. But what are you gonna do? You backs in.
They were rocking a hard place.
I think that's what the 6-month conversation was probably about. Did you guys intend to help the woman and just couldn't get around?
Do you think they called Chick-fil-A for the security footage?
I'm sure 6 months waiting to fire the guys. I think there was a lot done here. The firefighters had said they already ordered their food on the app when an emergency call came in, so they decided to stop for, quote, literally a few minutes tops.
So this is where their case falls apart. I no longer trust them.
Well, at least they're honest.
First of all, Chick-fil-A, they slang and bang that chicken. So it probably was just a few minutes.
It probably was, but a woman had chest pains nearby. and maybe they could have gotten rid of the sandwich.
They're like, well, we have stomach pains.
Yeah.
The problem here is that they say it took literally just a few minutes. That's what I tell my girlfriend when she wants to go do something and there's a basketball game on. She's like, how much longer is it going to be? I'm like, literally just a few minutes, and it's the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That's never an accurate assessment of time. That means they were there way longer than they say they were.
It feels like they were like, get off my back, bro. Like, that's the energy. Always nagging us is how they're acting.
We went to her later. God. It's like Napoleon Dynamite.
Just in those 5 words says a lot. You know, like, they could have just said, we're really sorry. Instead, they said, it was literally a few minutes tops. Come on now. You know what I'm talking about. The sandwiches,
What are
the
they
nuggets.
supposed to teleport there? I mean, come on.
Come on now.
It's a bad look.
That's the worst part. That was the most damning part right there. I don't know why they didn't take a day instead of 6 months. And that came from the report from DC Fire and EMS. The report was written by one of the firefighters who said there was no delay in patient care or response. However, it was literally a few minutes tops. So I'm sure the woman that was having chest pains, that few minutes must have felt like a few hours, right? I mean, chest pains are scary. I haven't had them, but I've heard.
Do you think that, like, this is the woman who's called chest pains? Like, maybe she calls in every once a week and they're like, oh, jeez. Mary.
That's Mary who lives by the Chick-Fil-A.
Nice.
Hey, let's go over there.
Yeah, on her way.
Well, you know, it's 11:35. I'm hungry.
Couple minutes tops.
What day of the week was it?
Let's see. We can look today. Let's see. Can I look and see what March 24th was?
It's tough if it's a Saturday. You're like, what am I going to do? Get it tomorrow?
Yeah, I can't.
Damn,
I'm going to be craving it until Monday now.
I mean, the whole thing.
It's going to, set me back. My professional life will worsen.
Damn, Chick-fil-A closing on Sunday.
Sometimes you just have a craving. You got to take care of it. It's like having a song stuck in your head.
You're not you when you're hungry.
Chick-fil-A, you're not you when you're hungry.
Yeah, you gotta.
They got to have some Snickers in those ambulances. To your point and your research, Kenzie, on that or your thought, it was Friday. So they could have got.
Not a good look, guys. Not a good look.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Now, sources familiar with the investigation said the reason Ambulance 3 was assigned to the call is because it was closer than another medic unit. So those guys are maybe circling the Chick-fil-A going like, when can we go to lunch? When can we go to lunch? It's too early right now, isn't it? Yep, it's too early. Wait about 10 minutes. And they kept circling. A trial board heard and then terminated the firefighter's case. A decision was made to end his employment. A government source familiar with the investigation told News 4, quote, no longer with the department. Now, there was a second firefighter on that call that day that's still employed pending the outcome of her own trial board.
Oh, my God. It's like the OJ investigation. How long does this take?
That was one
Was
person.
she also at Chick-fil-A?
She was at the call, too.
Kinsey,
Were they all there?
I guess, were all the firefighters and the EMS people there?
What is going on?
was this peer pressured? Is her, like, when Kinsey got in trouble for stealing and she was like, no, it's my friend. Like, she was telling me what to do.
There it is. If it's one vehicle and the driver's like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
There's one driver and there's one passenger, or whatever you want to call the other EMS person.
It's not an SUV. There's not they're not stocking 8 deep in there.
Yeah. What do you call the EMT that's not driving? Is that you're just
Passenger?
That's what I said, a passenger.
That's an interesting question. Do they have a job title?
I think they're both EMTs.
I think they're EMTs.
It's not an EMT and some worthless piece of garbage. That's not my point. It's is there a guy that his job is to sit in the passenger seat?
I think I watch Chicago Fire, and there's always the one girl always drives.
Well, that's nice.
And the other girl, or 2 girls.
You know, do you
that's
think
fun.
people get ambulances and go shotgun?
Case, call 911 and see what happens.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Okay, so to reset up, had the headlines a little bit. You guys chose to hear the headline about the firefighters, a D.C. firefighter fired after stopping to Chick-fil-A at an emergency call. And we read the whole story just a few minutes ago. If you missed it, go back to the podcast in the 8 o'clock hour. You can hear our whole breakdown of the story, which you requested to hear. A lot of people texting in about different parts of this story we broke down. For example, Kenzie, on the text line, what are people chiming in about?
We got one text that said, why didn't they just order the food to the site of the woman with chest pain?
You can change it. You can change it in the app, I think, before they get too close, right? You can change the address.
I don't know, Brian. I've never had this predicament.
So as they were on the way to help a woman who had chest pains, they stopped at Chick-fil-A, and then the guy got fired. There's still a woman that was in the car that also has not been charged yet. Another 6 months will go by for her trial.
She's like, I wasn't even driving the thing.
Yeah.
Julie texted in and said, Literally a few minutes can be the difference between life and death if you're having a heart attack.
And that's the quote they said that
Exactly.
it was literally a few minutes tops stopping at Chick-fil-A.
Oh, they really do sound like kids, like their quotes.
Yeah, like a 12-year-old trying to get out of being
Oh my
spanked.
God, it was literally like 2 seconds later.
Tops. Mandy checked in. Her husband's a firefighter. And then we got to the question. And I think me and Case were talking about the person that rides in the passenger seat. What are they called? And so she texted her firefighter husband, who's doing some kind of massive Chicago firefighter training right now, and sent the text thread in. It says, "What's the title of the second guy in the ambulance? Q101 wants to know. Like, does that position have a name?" And you can see he just says, "I don't know." He's a firefighter. And then she persists and said, "KK, on the fire truck, it's riding backwards, right?" He said yen. But I think he just is so annoyed he just didn't say yes. He just misspelled it.
Yeah.
Yen.
Well, he's not speaking his own language. Yeah, he meant yes.
And she said, "Thank you. We appreciate you reached out to your hubby while he's training to be the best fireman ever."
You probably missed something really important.
What's the name of the person that rides in the passenger
Well,
seat?
he's going to get in trouble. He's going to be like, "Oh, were you texting during the training?" He's like, "It was literally just a few seconds tops."
Tina's checking in on the phones. Tina, ahoy.
Hey, I'm doing good.
Oh, good.
I think it might.
I didn't ask, actually. Hi, how you doing, Tina?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Awesome.
Well, you should have asked Brian.
I should have. You're right. That's not me being a gentleman.
Sorry, she assumed you'd be kind. And then you like
Crazy, huh?
patronize her over.
Tina, you good now? Tina, you good?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little sad, but I'm good.
Okay, good. What's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I think the passenger is the side step, but I'm not positive because I'm not a fireman.
The side step?
It might be. I could be wrong.
I like it.
Okay, good.
That's me on
Anyway.
every test ever.
Yeah.
Might be.
Might be. I don't know. I'm just making it up.
Well, I think the person who drives doesn't have to write the report. So whoever was sitting next to him has to write up the report. It'd be interesting how they wrote that up.
Huh, it is interesting.
Do you think they added that they got? Do you think they wrote their whole order down on the report?
Wouldn't that be hilarious if in that investigation they had to say, "So what'd you guys get?" You know,
Did you ask for extra sauce?
Yeah,
Because that takes even more time.
I got the 4-piece tenders, but they screwed it up, so I had to go back in.
And they only give me 3. I said,
Yeah.
"Well, I ordered 4."
Yeah. Did you get the barbecue sauce?
Oh my God.
And the ketchup packets, you have to go inside to get them, the ones that you can peel open
Those
and
are the
dunk.
best.
Oh, Chick-fil-A has the best with the squirt. You can squirt it or dunk it.
Oh,
They're great.
paramedic rides in the passenger seat. The EMT drives.
Which one's more life-savable? Or say the people...
Which one's better?
Which one's better is what I wanted to say.
I heard from another text too. We don't know. Listen, none of this has been debunked. It's like allegedly.
Okay, you go.
That also the paramedic would be the passenger, and they're the ones that takes and handles the call. So that's probably why this girl's under investigation, because if she was like, if it was her, it's like, okay, did this guy not listen to you and drive there anyways or stay? Or did you not take the call on time / execute the importance level?
Yeah, because in the story, the guy's been fired. There's a girl that is not fired yet. So maybe she said, "Well, we can stop the Chick-fil-A real quick." Or,
You know when you look up your package and it's like it's an asterisk and it says pending approval?
yeah.
That's like her. That's where she's at in line to get fired.
What do you think the odds on DraftKings are of her getting fired in this deal?
Is that on DraftKings?
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.